Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Overseas Volunteers for Better India Hangout, Spirituality and Development. We have a very eminent panel here of experts in these fields, and they will share with us how India can move forward using some of the values of spirituality. Before that, we will have a brief introduction of what is OVBI. You guys can see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Volunteers for Better India website, and you can mute your speakers, otherwise our mission is to build a better India that's culturally rooted and economically advanced, and bring national issues to the forefront, and also reconnect NRIs with the roots of it. It was started by Sri Sri so that people can give time to the nation. Yeah. Hey, you guys can mute your computers, all of you, and then so that youth and citizens can charge. So India has a lot of things to offer, like food and fabric and all that. So we would like to get all these things out so that people can have more Indian pride and can know better where they come from, and also help progress the nation. So we've done, thanks to all the volunteers, we've done like over 1,000 projects in different areas like environment, training, organic farming, and light a lamp and all that. So like as an example, we did this project to fix dry rivers, and this was Jal Jagruti Abhiyan project. We did in less, like 1/4 the money as the government estimated, and with rainwater harvesting and all that. The rivers are very important to our environment, and we have been fixing up dry rivers in a few parts of India. And this is in Uttarakhand. The volunteers came to the rescue, and we were also appreciated by the army as one of the first group of NGOs to come and help forward. And this is a mobile app that we developed in the Silicon Valley. And as you can see, there's a President Abdul Kalam. He's giving an award to us in recognition of that. And this was a very big project where we mobilized the whole country to vote, and we had a lot of Nukkad Natak street plays, and kids encouraged the parents to vote. This is the educational portal knowourindia.org, and this is to tell untold history of India, different current affairs, yoga series, and a lot of topics of interest to NRIs and the kids, and also Indians worldwide, about Vedic math, Sanskrit, and anything you want to know about India. The idea is you come here, you get the essence of it, of many topics listed here. Our volunteers across the US have done an awesome job, in mobilizing the NRIs for a lot of Independence Day parades and lots of other cultural events. We also bring a lot of leaders to the forefront, like you see all these Kiran Bedi, Rajiv Malhotra, Balasaheb Darade. We give them forums so people know about them more, and they can receive knowledge from them. And this is a school of good governance which is started because it's very important that in the panchayats and in the government, people have good public policy and good governance so that the country can come up. There's a very innovative project. A women's wing has been started to partner with different organizations to provide help for battered women overseas. We have a lot of other projects out here where you have light lamps, and people flew to India to vote, and there's Udan for at-risk girls. And on the yoga day, we actually had a lot of 100 cities we organized in North America, in US and Canada, where a lot of people came and they did yoga. So in short, we ask people to become a volunteer, be a member, and help support many of our various projects. With that, I will stop, and I want to pay a home to Dr. Abdul Kalam. He was a very and he appreciated the link between spirituality and education. We remember him a few years back when he said that if you have a mind of an engineer and if you have the values of spirituality, then it's a beautiful mind, and then that can make a beautiful country. So he really appreciated the link between the technical progress and spirituality. So now I will invite Ruchira, one of the OVBI members, to introduce our speaker. So Ruchira, you can unmute yourself.
Welcome everyone. I would like to extend a welcome to Vikram Hazra, and I would love to introduce Vikram Hazra to all of you who are present here on the Hangout today. So for over 20 years, Vikram Hazra has represented His Holiness Sri Sri Ravi Shankar at various international fora, and he has taught the Art of Living program in over 47 countries. He has trained some of the most dynamic youth teachers and leaders that we have today through TTC, Teachers Training Programs. In 1999, he, along with Sri Vinod Menon, started the YLTP, the Youth Leadership Training Program, in over 35,000, that has spawned over 35,000 villages across India, empowering educated but unemployed rural youth to become change agents within their own communities. Currently, Vikram is actively involved with APEX, the Court Leadership Training Wing of the Art of Living. Aside that, Vikram is regarded as one of the most popular singers of devotional music in the world, and he has been credited as being the first, among the first, to introduce I'm sorry, electric guitar to this genre and creating a seamless blend of ancient Sanskrit chants with the jazz rock sensibility. The concerts feature various elements from cultures like Africa, South America, moving poetry from Kabir, Mirabai, Khusro, and Guru Nanak. Now, without taking any more time, I would like to hand over the platform to Vikram. Also,
Hi, everybody.
I would.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ruchira, you were saying something.
Yeah, so I forgot to introduce the theme, the topic of the day, which is spirituality, development, and India 2020. Now, when you look at it, they seem like three different entities. How do they connect to each other? And we would like you to express your thoughts on the theme.
You know, are we back?
You can go on.
Hi, thanks, Mehul. Thanks, Ruchira, and thanks, Dipanshu, Kumar, and the entire Overseas Volunteer for a Better India team. I think this is a great effort. In fact, some of the issues that we've been chatting about over email over the last 3-4 days, I have actually been discussing them with Guruji Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji for over 15 years now, and it's actually always slightly surprising to me that more effort is not being put in this direction, because it's one thing to want to see a change in society globally. I think let's keep the discussion to our efforts in India for now, because that's been a large focus of the work of OVBI, VBI, as well as the YLTP and other community development projects of the Art of Living. I feel that people are still caught in that loop of when they talk about development, they have a very urban-centric, Western-focused idea wherein they want to apply, like, okay, these kind of education systems and protocols need to be in place, this level of lifestyle people should aspire to, this amount of earning potential needs to be developed. While I do subscribe to that, I feel that in a lot of cases, the hindrance to success has been because of a lack of understanding of the mindset of the people whom we are attempting to help. For instance, the rural Indian mindset is a very, very different mindset. It's very unique. I've lived with them for several years. I've stayed in their homes. I've eaten their food. I've learned their music. Uh, One of the beautiful things that Guruji always used to tell me was, if you're trying to help people, you have to skillfully do it without ever hurting their self-esteem, and always know that you will learn a lot more from them than you are able to teach them. So we went in with this mindset, and we said, okay, look, we are also part of you. We want to stay here with you, and if we can be of any help, we'll do it. But we don't come in here promising you कि हम लोग इतना पैसा देंगे आपको, ये बना देंगे, वो बना देंगे. We don't want to create that kind of a crippled attitude in your society. And then we started working with the youngsters, because a lot of them were educated to a certain degree, but didn't really have a plan for their lives. And they didn't really see the connect of how they could achieve prosperity while remaining in their existing milieu, and maybe working from the ground up in their villages itself. So that's how this whole youth leadership training program started out in 1999. And once we got through to them, we started working on very small things, right? It could be just like a cleaning camp, it could be just like a health awareness camp, and gradually, as the trust, as the interaction or belongingness with them increased, we said, okay, what do you think? Maybe we should do something about education. And then somebody would come forward and say, I've got a patch of land which I can donate. I mean, it's not like they're very wealthy people, but they have such generosity of spirit. So they donate land. Somebody else would say, I'm a brick mason, so I can come and help supervise the building of the walls. Somebody else would say, I'm a carpenter, I'll build the doors. In most of the cases, I would have built an entire school by just getting some sponsorship from my friends abroad in the US and things like that to pay for the roof. And my main role would be to take the educated, unemployed youth from the villages, get them trained by our teachers of Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandir, our proper English medium schools in the nearby cities, and ensure that they had a matching syllabus or the same level of education that was being provided. And one of the very interesting, just to talk about the mentality, we started out building free schools and people would not attend. The day we started charging 10 rupees a month as a fee, the schools were full, because they felt that this was a branded school, a valued school. So even that 10 rupees a month for that family ensured their commitment and ensured their perception of the education that we were providing as not being something with a vested interest or a hidden agenda or something like that, but rather a proper full-scale school system. And I think we have over 150 such schools running actively now. But this has been the modus operandi all along, that you integrate with them and you see things from their point of view. Like, I'll give you a couple of examples and then we'll move forward to the questions. One of the things that often bothers us in the cities in India today is the absolute lack of civic awareness. Let's talk about people littering all over the place. Now, you look back to a large section of lower and lower middle income group people that have migrated from the rural hinterland into cities like Delhi and Mumbai and have taken up every kind of jobs, from like menial jobs as laborers or cleaners. Some of them have managed to get into things like a railway guard or something like that, using some influence or paying some bribe to get a government job which will keep his future generations employed guaranteed. That kind of mindset has brought them in. But in the kind of culture they come from, they used to live in a place where everything was biodegradable. They used to eat on banana leaves and pattals and things like that. All they needed to do at the end of the meal was go out and throw the stuff somewhere behind the house. It would just mingle in the soil. They had no toilets. They would go and defecate in the fields. Even that would be taken care of. There really weren't that many kind of issues of garbage disposal and recycling and stuff. It wasn't a question. Today, they continue to do the exact same thing in their villages, but they are eating chips out of plastic packets. They're using styrofoam cups. They have these PET bottles of soft drinks and colas and everything, and the same stuff is being thrown in the same fields, and it doesn't go anywhere. Nobody till today has taught them that this stuff doesn't work in the same way, and you need to sort of, people laugh at me when I talk about teaching waste management and segregation of solid waste in villages, but it is extremely critical because they grow up with that thing. See, when they're walking on a dusty village road, if he has to spit, he's not looking for a dustbin, he's going to spit on the road. The same guy comes to Bombay and continues to spit on the road. Of course, we have a whole bunch of people driving in BMWs and Audis also rolling down their windows and spitting out of the road. I mean, it's something. I feel that these basic issues of how one needs to live one's life in different contexts have never been touched upon. So the same guy who's running in the village for a bus and shoving people for a seat, in many cases today is traveling on a budget airline and is shoving me aside because he thinks I'll take his place on the bus that's going to take him to the aircraft. It's quite, when you take a step back and not be angry about it and consider where these people are coming from, you realize that the biggest gap, possibly in the last 3 generations even, has been that this translation has never been made of how you're supposed to walk, how you're supposed to conduct yourself, how you're supposed to manage your waste, how you're supposed to maintain your hygiene. It doesn't happen. In my own building where I live, there are people who have scraped together their life savings and maybe 8 people have managed to pool together and buy an apartment together, a small flat in Mumbai, where me and my wife live, and they live in the same building. And they continue to do their rituals and ablutions in the same way as they did when they lived in a slum before. And it's quite remarkable to see, because they'll be throwing stuff out of their windows and stuff like that. And then you have this guy who's like a corporate guy on the next floor who comes and shouts at them, and he says, you can't do this. But nobody tells them why it's not to be done. And they are incredulous about it. They are like, हम कौवे को खाना नहीं देंगे तो कैसे चलेगा? घर पे तो नहीं रख सकते, बाहर ही तो फेंकना पड़ेगा. बाहर he is throwing it from the X number floor apartment, and it's landing down in the driveway where you're driving in your fancy car. It's landing on your head. It still happens today. So these are some disconnects that are fundamental to understand before we can take the development process forward. I'm really all about working things from the ground up, working on solutions from the inside out, working with the people in a very, very hands-on way, and also making sure that the strong emotional bonds and the strong spiritual traditions that they have are not hampered or injured in any way. Regardless of community, regardless of caste, that has literally never played a role in our work in the villages. It has very rarely played a role. Initially, somebody might have tried to say, okay, these guys are from a particular community, or they are here to help a particular community. It doesn't work. When there's a school, everybody wants to be a part of it. Everybody wants their kid there. And if you don't have it in your head, it really ceases to be a factor for anybody. So I really don't subscribe to these kind of discussions that go on, on social media and online fora. which is one of the reasons I've stayed away from Hangouts for a long time. But this topic really sort of grabbed my attention. I'll tell you one more thing that happens to link the thing into spirituality, development, and Vision 2020. It's very ironic and true at the same time that many of us are not a factor in this nation's democracy. I'll tell you why. Because we are the educated, urbanized, thinking, interacting, minuscule minority, I would say. And what we tend to do is, there are these 1 or 2 or maybe 3 big players on the national scene. We tend to divide our loyalties between them and say, I'll vote for this party, my brother always votes for the other one, and my neighbor always votes for the third one, and we effectively cancel each other out. So literally, in the last so many years, people like us have not played a role in the outcome of a general election in this country. So what happens is, we are really, so what if we rank here and there? So what if I post, on Facebook and 50,000 people read it and share it and give galis about it and things like that? To the guy who is striving to hold his seat, we don't matter, and he has to keep the people that matter happy. If it means that he has to spend X amount of money on mobilizing a vast illiterate mass, he will do it, and he will make sure he stays in power. So one of the things that we started doing, especially under VBI, and it was an effort that I really was very touched by. It did have a very, very strong impact. Was getting youngsters, both rural and urban, just to sign up as voters. So now we are looking at, over the next, let's say 15-20 years, creating this huge mass of socially conscious youth, both in the cities and in the villages of India, who are going to make it a point to sign up and go and cast their vote whenever there's an election process. Once that number becomes significant, their demands have value. And then they are in a position to say, look, these things are our basic birthrights. If you are going to hold public office, you are jolly well going to provide it to us. Like we said, I live in Bombay, and I live a fairly privileged and comfortable life. But I cannot help but notice that all around me, it's almost as though if I have 24 hours clean drinking water, if I have an unbroken road, it's almost as though somebody has done me a favor and say, hey, look, you don't really deserve this, but maybe today I'll give you a road. And I don't like living like this. And I'm hoping to see over the next 15-20 years that kind of change of mindset, where a whole bunch of I wouldn't call it even educated, informed, socially conscious young people have the clout to demand that basic facilities need to be provided, and then we'll take it further from there. So yeah, that's a couple of the points I needed to touch on, and then we can take it further in whichever direction yourself or the audience pleases. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vikramji. That was actually very enlightening. We have a few questions from our viewers. One of the first things we want to ask is something about your attitude. So the way you can mute your computer.
I'll mute it. Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, I can do it myself. Yeah. So you look at things in a different way. You look at things from, okay, what is the context, why this is happening, and what we can do about it. And many people in this third world countries and with India, they have give up attitude. Oh, this can't be changed, or this is how it is, and they get very angry. Their energies go in sadness, in guilt, in regret, and in anger. Whereas your energy is going in what to do about it. So can you share something about like your personality, your you know something about your background that gives this kind of a thought pattern, because that's very important to progress.
Um, that's a very good question, Mehul. Uh, I'd like to say that here is probably where my art of living training plays the biggest role, because I used to be one of the most short-tempered people that I have met in my life. So one of the first things I started working on when I met Guruji was how do I, stop from losing my head and being upset for weeks on end about a small incident, and that really changed my life. But having said that, it was more of my training with Guruji where he would talk about, just to give you an example, more than 12 years ago, he used to tell me that, the biggest problem over the next 5-6 years in our country is going to be Naxalism and Maoism. And I was asking him, I was like, is this something that came to you in your meditation, and are you accessing this knowledge from a higher plane? And he said, no. He said, if you bother to follow the news, if you bother to really observe the trends in our society, you will see clearly that this is where we are headed. That was a real big eye-opener for me, because even as a media student, we were taught to study emerging patterns and stuff like that. But I actually never saw it in action so actively as what Guruji was doing. So we started getting involved in it, and the deeper we would go, we would find that there was so much of misinformation, being misguided. So, literally anger and frustration will not help you in the least. Rather, you try and understand where that person is coming from. I have interacted with a lot of terrorist and insurgent leaders, as well as their cadres, as well as people from the Naxalite and Maoist backgrounds. And you'll be surprised how educated they are. You'll be surprised how sensitive most of them are. But their inner frustration could find no other expression. So Guruji had told us to, when we were talking to them, we would say, "Hum bhi kranti chahte hain, par hamari kranti shanti se hoti." So that used to be like a motive, when we used to begin our interventions with them. And believe me, Mehul, you can't imagine how beautiful those people are, how lovely those places are. And the third point I would say in this regard is, it's no point playing a blame game and saying because of this and because of that. So you can start blaming this agency and that community and that government, and this person didn't do it and this person didn't live up to it. It doesn't work, So what you have is, the biggest resource you have is people. There's no shortage of people in our country. So if you can learn to work with the people at whatever level and teach them to be independent of all these other factors, then things start moving really fast. I mean, you've seen the results, especially in the Jal Jagruti Abhiyan, which my friend Makrand has been doing in Latur. It's remarkable, but the secret behind it is he has motivated people and made them independent of any other factors. He said, like, look, we won't play a blame game and say, "Isne ye nahi kiya, they haven't lived up to their promises." Let's see what little we can do together, and whatever much we can achieve, we'll take it from there and see if we can gradually replicate and scale. And really, that has been the success of most of the notable development projects in this country. Whether you look back to a Baba Amte or a Vinoba Bhave or someone like that, they have all managed to work like that. Develop or Ilango in Tamil Nadu. Just work with a small bunch of panchayats, get them together, and then create a self-sustaining economic model, and then start to rather than expand the model. What they would do was, they would encourage people to replicate it in other equally small clusters. Okay, so don't try and make one huge thing. Keep this cluster model and try and do it within your, let's say within a 10-kilometer radius from where you live, or a 25-kilometer radius from where you live. So that's been a very, very good process so far.
Thank you, Vikramji. That was very enlightening again. So now, Ruchira.
Vikram, I would like to steer the conversation towards the role of music. So you have generously contributed your time doing concerts to gather support for India against corruption and volunteer for a better India movements and several such events, and rallied huge support from the youth. Could you talk a little bit about your experience in getting people, youth especially, involved through your music?
There's a slight background to this. What happens is, if you have observed Sri Sri Ravi Shankar at work across the globe in the last 30-35 years, it's well documented that he is constantly working to develop society. Now, if it means he goes to Colombia and tries to facilitate a ceasefire between warring factions, he will do it. If it means he wades through thigh-deep water and meets people in the Tamil Nadu tsunami, he will do it. Wherever he is required, he even, I remember when Nandigram was taking place, he was like, I have to go there. And I was like, look, it's really dangerous. I wouldn't want you to go there. Maybe I can go there and set up the base, and then maybe you can just make a short visit. He says, no. There are people praying to me. I have to go. Now, he is constantly working towards developing a better society, both rural and urban. But many times, when we are in this art of living mode, I have found people restricting their activities to just their meditation practice or just attending a satsang. And I'm like, look, your guru is working day and night to uplift society, regardless of caste, creed, community, or nationality across the globe. Why don't we ignite a bit of that spark within ourselves and see what difference we can make to the standard of living in our immediate neighborhoods? So that's how I was very interested in Volunteer for a Better India when it came up, because it allowed people, what Guruji was saying at the outset, I'll give you a little background before it was formed, was let's just inspire people to give an hour or two every week just to do some kind of community service or some kind of development work, regardless of their background. So they need not be from a spiritual background, they need not be from a political background, they need not have any kind of idea. But what we are going to do is create a platform for people to come together and do some kind of seva, however small, and just feel that I want to be a part of this. That's how VBI. And I did a very focused intervention for VBI, where I would get groups of youngsters together, and we tied up with the Election Commission, and they put voter registration booths, official voter registration booths in the foyer wherever I was singing. And we would have people sign up. So there would be, and they were really taken aback because they thought it would be like, 200 people singing bhajans or something like that and trying to act very pious. And here they were like, 4,000 or 5,000 youngsters bouncing up and down, full of energy, and each and every one would sign up, and each and every one would pledge to sign up at least 50 more of his friends. So they were really taken aback. They were like, what are you guys doing? I said, this is what we want our youngsters to be thinking about in the future. So it really took off in a very good way. I'm very, very, there are no words to express the dedication of the volunteers and organizers. It's something I completely stand by, and we continue to do it. I mean, we're now looking at the next area of focus, and let's see. So for me, music works. I mean, it's a language that everybody speaks. Why devotional music? Well, because I am a devotional music artist. It's what I do. It's what I'm known for. But also because in our kind of music, you don't need to be drunk or stoned to be really having a good time. And I think youngsters all over the world like to gather in groups. They like to let go. They like to dance. They like to socialize. I don't think many feel that they have to necessarily be intoxicated to get the full benefit of it. So they really like it. I mean, here it's a safe environment. People are happy to send their daughters here. Everything's over by 10:30 in the evening, and people are safe. Nobody's fighting. Nobody's pushing. Nobody's in any danger. Nobody's hungover the next day. So you're providing the same level of a grand party happening, but without the booze and drugs and the fights. It's as simple as that. Of course, the music has to be of a very high quality. It can't be that same old घिसा पिटा, मैली चादर ओढ़ के तेरे पास कैसे जाऊं kind of thing. So yeah, maybe the upgrade has helped.
Thank you. I think Jatin has a question now.
Hello, Vikram Bhaiya. You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I just have a question regarding how do you envision India of your dreams? So you can probably tell in like few words.
That's a very, very deep question. It's still very much in my dreams. But a couple of things I'd like to say. My maximum work in rural India has been in the northeast. Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh. I'm convinced that if these kind of areas or this kind of natural beauty had belonged to any other country, they would have turned it into the tourist capital of that country. They would have left no stone unturned to make these places accessible, make them beautifully developed and clean, and attract hordes of high-end tourists to come and see it. I mean, the beauty rivals places that I have been to in Austria, in Germany, even in Switzerland. It's something that really fills me with a twinge of regret, because it's nobody's thinking along those lines even now. That, I mean, we have a lot to offer. You can go to, I often tell people that you go to a country like even a small country like Mongolia. The moment you land in Mongolia, you are told that, hey, this is our Mongolian music, this is our Mongolian culture, this is our Mongolian dance, and if you haven't bought a CD or DVD before you leave this country, you haven't really visited us. For us, in every single district of our country, we have different art forms, different dance forms. Now, forget marketing them, forget cashing in on them. They are not even documented for the most part. I have sung traditional Assamese devotional music to urban youth in Guwahati, and they didn't understand what I was talking about, because they are ignored to the point of becoming defunct. So a lot of this is likely to be lost. So a lot of our culture is very, very imminently packageable and presentable for a global audience. I often give the example of the late Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab. I'm a huge fan. I'm literally a devotee of his. And single-handedly, he raised one simple art form from just small gatherings or mehfils to a global kind of trend. It has never happened with most of our traditional and folk forms, beyond a certain extent. So I really feel that we need to start researching, documenting, and eventually upgrading and polishing the presentation of many of our forms. There's a huge market out there. There's a huge world out there. People love the kind of stuff. Whatever little I have learned and presented outside has been very, very well appreciated. I really would encourage more people to do this. And my dream for India is that people stop blowing their car horns. That's my absolute dream.
Thank you, Vikramji. It's very good to get a real picture from the ground, the experiences. There's a question from the viewers. West Bengal has been very close to your heart.
Okay.
If you can mute your, yeah. Bengal of yesterday, years has been known to present personalities like Swami Vivekananda and Tagore, Ramakrishna. How can we claim the lost glory of West Bengal?
By not dwelling in the past. It's really as simple as that. We need to move forward. There's so much intelligence, there's so much creativity, there's so much to do. But instead of being fatalistic and saying, things were very good and things have changed, zamana bada kharab ho gaya hai, I think we need to stop doing that. Literally, in this country, that has never worked. It's one thing I really learned from Guruji. Every day he would say, okay, so what are you going to do today? And he never once asked me, he says, oh, how many courses have you taught, or, how many hours do you manage to meditate in a day? Aisa kabhi nahi pucha unhone. He would always ask, what are you going to do? What is your thought as you enter today? What are you going to do to make a difference in society? It was always that. So I think we just need to move on. I mean, it's not about Bengal per se, it's the entire country and the culture. And I think there are a lot more positives than some small nagging this thing. It will take time. Definitely the kind of change that you and I want to see in this country will take time, perhaps not even in our lifetime. Let's be very pragmatic about that. But if we can start putting, some systems in place where people will be able to carry it forward, then definitely it will change. Definitely. And I feel we can see a palpable change over the next 15, 20 years.
Yeah, thank you.
Vikram, we have another question from the audiences. They want to know, how can spirituality help solve the problems that the Indian youth face today? The violence and the addiction that is rampant in large pockets of our country. How do we take spirituality to the youth and help resolve these problems?
There are two things that I would like to emphasize at this point. One, youth always love challenges. And two, every single teenager I know has been plagued with this burning question, why? So, why is it like this? Why should I do this? You tell them, as a teacher, as a parent, you say, look, I want you to do this, but why? And nobody has an answer to this why. The teachers don't have an answer, the parents don't have an answer. They keep, and sometimes they just do it to push people's buttons, and it succeeds. They will always use their junoon, their emotion, and adults try and counter it with some limited logic which can be refuted very, very easily. Spirituality provides an ongoing challenge. That, okay, fine, you think you're so smart, but are you in full control of your mind and faculties? And they say, hey, What's that got to do with anything? Suppose I ask you, I tell you, Djokovic won Wimbledon. And in the next sentence, I say, I want you to forget that statement. Are you able to do this? They said, no, if we try and forget something, then it's going to stick more and more in our mind. So are there certain things about my mind and its functions, my intellect, my emotions, that I still don't understand? And the deeper they start looking into it, they realize it's a vast subject. It's a huge, ongoing, evolving challenge. And because by nature they love challenges, they tend to take to spirituality very easily. The only people that think that it is difficult to attract youth towards spirituality are adults who think of themselves as spiritual. But usually they are not spiritual because they are not content. They're so frustrated and they just do some kind of ritual. Oh, I do so much of chanting and I do so much of yoga, and my son is misguided and you should talk to him and stuff like that. And I have been criticized by a lot of parents because they would bring their children to me and say, he's like, he wants to play only Western music, and this guy wants to start his own business, doesn't want to work for his father. And today a lot of them are entrepreneurs. Today a lot of them are very creative people. And I always used to encourage them. I'm like, follow your heart, man, follow your passion. But make sure you take responsibility for it. If you fall flat, if you're not able to stand on your own 2 feet, then don't go running back to your parents and say, hey, look, I didn't get a platform to excel and stuff like that. You be very sure about that. And they take up the challenge. So spirituality is a subject, when presented properly to them, always will be a challenge. So they love it. They really love it. So they take to it. We have never had an issue of having to convince youngsters. Rather, it was always like challenging them. Hey, I bet you can't meditate for 20 minutes. What 20 minutes? You can't meditate for 10 minutes. And they say, you try us. हम लोग 25 मिनट करके दिखा देंगे, but they'll take up the challenge. So it was always like, I bet you can't do this. And they would say, just watch me. And the second thing was getting them to this point that a lot of the answers to this question, why, are actually somewhere inside themselves. That's the little big picture view. The moment they arrive at this, you will be surprised at their maturity. You'll be surprised at their acceptance and their grasping power. They'll be like, oh, something inside me has got to change. And if something inside me has got to change to make a difference in my life, then as an extrapolation, something within this society has to change for this country to improve. So they go from that thing of blaming people and blaming circumstances to saying, okay, let me make a change, let me become strong from inside, and let me start doing a little bit in my immediate circle. It has a huge ripple effect, and that really has been a source of inspiration to us over the years. Okay. I can't hear you, Mehul.
Okay. Vikram here, can you hear me?
So, do we know how many participants we have online with us right now?
Vikram Bhaiya, we have a lot of viewers watching us on YouTube. Uh, yeah.
Okay, Vikram bhaiya, you can hear me, right? Yeah. So you have traveled length and breadth of the country, like a lot of places. So could you share your experience around different places and your perception?
To be accurate, I have traveled everywhere except Ladakh and Mizoram, and they are both on the list. I've been everywhere else, everywhere. So it's a beautiful place. I mean, there's no substitute, you know, to traveling, especially in rural India. And the best thing to do is to just walk into someone's home and say, "हम बड़े दूर से आए हैं, हमें भूख लगी है," and they will sit you down. You know, it has been my experience over years and years that if they have one roti left, they will give half of it to you. That is something everybody needs to learn. That's a lesson we need to teach to the world. But more importantly, we need to imbibe it from them. So I always encourage young people to take trips, just travel. In a lot of places, it's very safe, but we try and create a little bit of a secure environment. You know, get them to travel to a place where maybe 2 hours from there we have our organizers living, so the girls have a safe place to stay. You know, so get them to visit different seva projects and sites as well. It's very hands-on. It's very hands-on.
Thank you,
I think if you travel in India, you become patriotic immediately. You know, you'll see how beautiful it is. You'll see how beautiful it is. And I've had friends of mine, very skeptic, very urbane, very professional, and they have just decided at some point of time to take an SUV or even an Enfield Bullet and then take off. And they have come back transformed. They have come back They said, we didn't realize how lovely and how simple it is to travel in this country.
Thank you. Thank you, Vikramji. One of the questions we have from our viewers is, Dr. Abdul Kalam had this vision for youth of India, and in his book, India 2020. So could you share your experience and comments about Dr. Kalam's vision and maybe a few comments about his life?
As always, I'll speak from my personal experience. I haven't read the Vision 2020 book, but I've read the others, and I have followed his writing, of course, since I was in college. But two experiences spring up very readily. One was when I was the Master of Ceremonies for the Art of Living Silver Jubilee celebrations in 2006 in Bangalore, and we had the honor of having President Kalam come and address the gathering. There was this huge security hullabaloo, and you know, he will just come here and sit here, and nobody should approach him, and he will only be there for 10 minutes. He will make his speech. He will leave. He sat there for the better part of an hour. He met everybody. He smiled at all of us. He greeted us. We had a 3,700 strong symphony of Carnatic musicians. He made them play one more piece so that he could listen. I still remember we played his favorite Tyagaraja Kriti, which was Endaro Mahabhavanulu, and he was just absorbed in it. There was nothing, you know, he was totally there. It wasn't like, hey, I'm the president, I've got to run, I'm a busy guy. Nothing. And in every interaction of his, I have seen he would invest 100% of himself and maintain that air of innocence. The second instance is something that I have really searched and tried to find a transcript of that conversation, but I couldn't find it. It was many years ago, before he held public office. So it was Professor APJ Abdul Kalam and Shri Shri Ravi Shankar ji having a conversation on science and spirituality. And Guruji spoke only about quantum mechanics, about the hypothalamus, about the pineal and pituitary glandular system and stuff like that, and about genetics and the DNA and the environment. And Professor Kalam spoke only from scripture. He quoted from the Gita, he quoted from the Upanishads, he quoted from, I think he even quoted from the Guru Granth Sahib. And that's all they spoke about. So this one spoke his piece, this one spoke his piece. Then they looked at each other, they burst out laughing, and they said, you know, anyone who sees a disconnect between these two disciplines is really missing the point. And they left the venue. They literally got up and left, and everybody there was like with open jaws. They're wondering what happened. And I'm told that they were sort of just, you know, just laughing and joking all the way out to their respective vehicles. And yeah, that's it. A magical moment, absolute.
Vikram Bhaiya, the audiences, of course, are begging me to ask you to sing a song. But before we do that, I had one last question. On behalf of everyone, how do you think can NRIs contribute to our theme, to the development, to our vision? I mean, we sit here and we do a lot of thinking and planning, but how do we get involved, and how do we contribute to the process of growth and development?
In a very practical sense, I would encourage you guys to send small teams here. Maybe myself and a few of our colleagues can be in touch with you. We can actually help you to visit certain sites and experience for yourself. You know that what I'm talking about is not just a theoretical concept, but a living reality. And then I would like you to reprioritize your strategies accordingly. The efforts that you all have been making have been absolutely stellar, and more importantly, the thought and the noble intention that you have is I'm sure very inspiring for everybody here. And, you know, but I think if we are able to strategize it a little better, it will be much more effective. You know? So it's already happening in many places, but I think let's work together to develop a few models which can sort of really make an impact, you know, rather than just a feel-good thing. So now, you know, since we've started with the river rejuvenation projects and things like that, now we are coming into the realm of actual hardcore, impactful technologies, you know, which we are working with the people on the ground to evolve. So I really see a huge thrust required over the next 10 years to make sure that these things fructify. So earlier there was a standard practice that, you know, if you had any NRI contacts, you would say, okay, just donate some money or something like that. Then it evolved to, you know, तुम्हारे दादाजी के नाम पे एक school बना देंगे गांव में or something like that, you know. But I think now we are really getting into the hardcore, the nitty-gritty, and I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about it.
Saya, we would love to hear a song from you. I mean, I have a barrage of requests, so please take it over.
Any requests? This room, by the way, is where it all happens. My amplifiers are here, my guitars are here, and you can see all my CDs at the back. My books are all over here. So this is my cave. Yeah, this is where I escape and work out everything. So, can you hear that?
Yes, we can hear.
One of my favorite singers of all time lives in North America. She actually lives in Canada, in Nova Scotia. Her name is Divya Prabha. I think she's the greatest bhajan singer that ever lived. I'm easily her biggest fan. And at the same time, I used to be very disturbed that people had to come from different countries to India and teach us to sing bhajans when we were only listening to some other music. And so yeah. Govind Krishna Hari Om, Gopal Krishna Hari Om, Govind Krishna Hari Om, Gopal Krishna Hari Om, Narayana Hari Om, Satyanarayana Hari Om, Narayana Hari Om, Satyanarayana Hari Om. At the same time, when we are with Guruji, the kind of songs that we tend to sing are songs that reflect the essence of his teachings. You know, like for example, Sarvam Brahmamayam Re Sarvam Brahmamayam Sarvam Brahmamayam Re Sarvam Brahmamayam. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Everything is just one energy, one consciousness. It's what I learned when I was studying quantum physics in college, and it's what I experienced when I met Guruji for the first time and learned to meditate. जीवन खेल है सगुण ब्रह्म का, निर्गुण उसका रूप, नाम रूप विषयों से परे वो सबका सत्य स्वरूप रे, सबका सत्य स्वरूप। सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं, जगत है माया का सपना, तूने एकता इससे मानी। जगत है माया का सपना, तूने एकता इससे मानी। तेरा मेरा करत रोता, तेरा मेरा करत रोता, जाग जरा अज्ञानी, जाग जरा अज्ञानी। सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं, सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे सर्वं Brahmamayam. So are you guys all excited about the 15th August event? You have some big
Yeah.
event coming up, I believe.
That was very nice. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was very nice, Vikram Bhaiya. I also listen to your music. Yeah, I have CDs of you in my car.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, you're talking about August 15th. So we have the August 15th Independence Day parade happening in New York City on August 16th, which is
I
Sunday.
believe my friend Shankar Mahadevan will be comparing.
Yeah, I heard like he's the guest out there, and he is there in the newspaper everywhere. I can see his name, and you can tell or inform your other friends if they are. They
Of
can
course.
they can join us in our parades, taking part in the parade, and it is going to be the biggest parade and maybe part of Guinness Book of World Record. So they are
Lovely.
planning to do that.
I think we look forward to a huge participation from the Art of Living community as well.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. As of now, like
Now
lot
that,
of people have volunteered and confirmed for the participation. Like close to 100 people have confirmed yet they will be coming up in under the OEBI. So, but there are a lot of people from different communities also joining. But we just need to spread awareness to work for better India, and OEBI is taking part in the parade.
I think आप 20,000 का संकल्प रखो तो 2,000 तो हो ही जाएंगे. 200 is, I think, I mean, we should say no, we can do better than that. So I'll also spread the word, and I really wish you all the best. And I look forward to our ongoing interactions in the future.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vikramji. I think this has been one of like best hangouts we had in OVBI. Very down to earth and like on ground information that you provided us. We look forward to more interactions from OVBI regarding how NRIs can help India and some of the other projects you mentioned. Do you have any? If you have any concluding remarks, please go ahead.
I always tell people what Guruji gave as a message to the youth, as in broaden your vision and deepen your roots. You know, so both are essential, and I think the way to yeah, I actually do have something to say. When I started traveling abroad to teach, initially just to teach Art of Living courses, Guruji said, you are not going there just as an Art of Living teacher or just as a representative of Guruji. You are going there as an ambassador of Indian culture. And the way you conduct yourself, um, the way you spread a sense of harmony and belongingness with people will reflect on the kind of values that you embody. So I feel much more than talking about our great heritage and this is it and it used to be like that and people don't know about it anymore. I feel uh, that each one of us actually needs to be ambassadors of a value system which transcends time and which transcends cultures and can really be an important contributor to the vision of a world without war. So yeah, let's keep a big goal in mind and move forward.
Cool. Thank you. So on behalf of Overseas Volunteers for Better India, thank you everyone for joining us today. We just wanted to remind you we have those two websites that you can go and get more information. Um, it's called overseasvbi.org and knowourindia.org. So thank you, namaste, and we pay a homage to Dr. Abdul Kalam also. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much for joining. Namaste.
Okay, namaste.